of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about in a calm way. I'm very calm this morning, Matthew.
Oh, it was a good chat yesterday. I went home and like ran numbers and did research, and
you crunched some numbers, dude?
I think you'll be surprised.
Bean counting, huh?
So yesterday, if you haven't listened to yesterday's show yet on iTunes or on the YouTube, Mark and I got into a discussion over the press release that came out on Friday by both the Bass Pro Tour and the FLW Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit about basically combining or giving the option for the BPT pros to fish the remaining three FLW Pro Circuit events and creating a 200-boat super tournament for the remainder of the year, but they don't count for points. They're just fishing for money, and it went through everything that went on, and we took different stances. Just we had different outlooks on it. You were more from the business standpoint aspect, and you kind of breezed over the money aspect of it, because I hadn't really dived into that. I did mention it. Well, you did mention it, but I looked at it more from the angler integrity of the competition side of it, how it affects the 150 FLW Pro Circuit guys having the influx of the 50 BPT guys in. And then we just kind of left it at there. And hey, for the first time in history, I think we both got hate mail over it.
We did. And man, there's some angry people out there, dude.
What was the worst thing you were called over your stance, Mark? Can you say it on air?
No, I cannot. There were some 4-letter words used.
Really?
But I'll give it up to everybody out there. I spent the entire afternoon, a good portion of the afternoon, answering emails, answering responses to people that took the time, good or bad, to send their opinions and their feelings about the discussion that we had yesterday. All right, Matthew? So, hey, I can't thank the fans. These are the best fans in the world. If you take the time, be it obnoxious or not, 4-letter words or not, to send me a message, send me an email, I give it up to you. All right? I may not agree with what you said, but I'm giving it up to you for the fact that you are passionate enough to take the time to respond to whatever I say or Matt says on this show. So, yeah, man, there were some good ones, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say the vast majority of the stuff that I received was good, but there was some negative comments in there and some very angry, hateful comments, too.
Yeah, I was called.
Dude, that's just part of the game, man.
I was called. I'll just read the first 2 lines. You're as soft as drugstore cotton. You must not like to compete. And then the last line, get out of here, bro. I get a little bit of taste of what it's usually like on your end.
That's
with
right.
This, Mark,
That's
but
right.
That was more of it. But here's what I did. So I ran the numbers. We have a great show today.
Great show today. We're going to have Zell Rowland on. And, Zell, as I have mentioned in previous shows, going through a lot right now. And he's got some decisions to make. And this is a guy that has been an iconic person when it comes to that relationship between the angler and one specific bait or one specific tactic. Agree, Matthew?
Yes.
So we're going to talk to Zell. He's going to be on live via Skype and hopefully dive in depth into some of the challenges that are lying ahead and really some very tough, difficult decisions that have to be made by an iconic figure in this game. Has that very unique signature too, Matthew.
Yes. Are we rolling on YouTube? Because I got it pulled up and it says waiting.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay.
I don't control that. That's done by the provider that we have.
Oh, so there might be just a tad bit of a delay there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't press a button or do anything, man.
Okay. Well, it just showed up on that. We're good on the instant feedback, though, on the BTL
So
side.
is a YouTube feed out there?
Well, it says waiting for Bass Talk Live at 8:31, and maybe, I don't know, that thing just popped up. I don't know how that works.
All right.
Like I said, I just started watching
I don't do anything. It just automatically happens.
I just started watching the comments on the YouTube because we were getting a lot of viewers on the YouTube along with the BTL page for the people who watch it live. But yes, Zell Rowland on. Man, he's been doing it longer than I've been alive. I mean, that's the truth. But anyway, so we got Zell. So let's get back to the numbers. And I stand by everything I said about the competition, all that stuff. But I'm going to lean a little bit more towards your stance, I guess. After running the numbers, after your opinion, after your statements as far as the 50, up to 50 BPT anglers fishing, and they have till the 15th to make a decision. They have to fish all three of them. See if I can pull that. You know that a mouse does not work on a clear glass plastic table or clear glass table, Mark. So this is on there, and I did it out. So I wanted to see, well, how much better actually is it? Are they getting anything? Are the 150 guys that are now going to have to fish against the 50 BPT guys? And we're not even going to get into the debate about how much that actually affects the competition and whether the BPT guys are going to be fishing for a check or whether it's going to be like the Elite Series guys who fish the Opens who only try to win to get into the Classic, and whether you're going to have 150 guys trying to get points and cash a $10,000 check, and then you're going to have 50 BPT guys because they can't fish for the points, they can't make the title, so they're just going to go out and use the most overused term in professional bass fishing, swing for the fences. If they zero, they zero. If they win, they get the $125 and all the glory that comes with it. So do you have two different groups of guys fishing for different things? One guy's fishing to survive and for points, and one group of guys that know how to win, obviously, because they're on the BPT, fishing to win for top fives for the big money there? Or are they going to be fishing for a check just like the FLW Pro Circuit guys, and it's really not going to make a difference? And then, to continue this rant, what if you've got guys that are fishing for points that are sharing areas for guys that aren't fishing with points? And how is that going to shake out? But it is what it is because, like you said, uncharted territory. Yeah. COVID-19, at least guys have places to fish. So,
that's right.
The press release, came out on the 8th, so they're adding $1,377,000 over the final three events, assuming it's a 200-boat field, assuming 150 FLW Pro Circuit guys come back and they add 50 BPT guys. So we'll go with those numbers. Best case scenario. Best I can tell, the MLF guys are paying $5,000 per tournament.
Okay.
We'll just go with that.
Okay.
I don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah. So they are adding, if there's 50 of them, they're adding $250,000 per tournament to the pot just based on entry fees. Or their entry fees are $250,000.
Is there 4 or 5 events?
There's 3.
Okay.
There's 3.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Okay.
3.
All right.
3 events left. So $250,000, 50 guys, $5,000, $250,000, right? Mm-hmm. With the $1,377,000 added for all 3 events, divided by 3, that is $459,000 that has been added for each of these 3 super tournaments. So there's over an additional, roughly just shy of $500,000 added to the pot for each tournament.
All right.
Then take away the $250,000 for the MLF anglers entry fees. You follow me? Mm-hmm. So each tournament then, assuming a full field, is $209,000 per tournament. That has to come from either FLW or MLF or the sponsors of MLF or something that they're adding to the pot here that didn't exist before. Actually, $459,000 didn't exist, but take out the entry fees and there's $209,000 per event. Times 3, that's $627,000 that one organization sponsor somehow is being added to this pot with these super tournaments, right?
Yeah.
So you were right in you have a better chance to make money because the field was paying half. They're still paying half. But before, They were paying 75 out of the 150, and 61st through 75th was getting $5,000 back. I believe I spoke to an FLW pro circuit angler. I believe his entry fee said was like $5,723 and like 11 cents or something around that point. So you're not getting your entry fee back if you finish 51st through 75th in the old format. Right. You're getting $10,000. 31st through 50th was $10,000. Now,
the answer is
31st through 100th gets $10,000. Now you're adding 50 guys to it. Remember that.
Yeah.
But you're finishing the top half, you're getting the $10,000 check now.
Yeah.
So they're the guys that benefit from this. So 50th was getting $10,000 before. So there are 25 extra guys that are getting paid that wouldn't have gotten paid. 76 through 100th, I'll get 10 grand. 61st through 75th would have gotten 5 grand. They're getting 10 grand now. And 51st through 60th would have gotten 5,500. They're getting 10,000 now. And the payout has increased through first, second, third, all the way down. Mm-hmm. So there is more money to be won, and you can actually suck more and make more now. Top half of the field still gets paid. It's just the bottom half of that top half gets a lot more. They get a $10,000 check as opposed to either nothing, 5,000 or 5,500. So, I mean, that's not a bad gig.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
Yeah, it's opportunity.
Now, do I still feel, and I understand this might just be part of the times, do I still feel like there are guys who will and won't make the FLW title and guys who will finish because they're higher because they're not fishing for points? Yes. Yeah. All that part stays the same. But after you run the numbers, and then the expanded live broadcast goes to 4 days. So I would like, and it doesn't say who's going to be on for the 4 days or anything. Mm-hmm. And I understand the BBT guys need the publicity just as bad as the FLW Pro Circuit guys. But man, I would love to see dedicated cameras to guys who are fishing for points. You know, hey, we got one on Ron Nelson. He's leading the points right now, even if he's not doing great in the tournament. Or we've got the highest FLW Pro Circuit anglers on. A lot more focus on those guys on the first 2 days of the live stream, so that live coverage on the final 2 days, assuming there's a lot of BPT guys in it at the end, aren't dominating that coverage, taking it away from the FLW Pro Circuit guys who have fished that trail the whole year.
Okay. All right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Just, the numbers speak for themselves. I'm going to be really, really intrigued on what that number is going to be on how many BPT guys actually fish. They need to fish. And because of this COVID-19 situation, think about it. Some of these guys, they're not making any money. It doesn't matter if you're FLW, Bass, or MLF. It does not matter. You know, who the most fortunate person is in bass fishing from an angling standpoint is?
Who's that? The most fortunate person in bass fishing from an angling
standpoint?
Right now. John Cox?
No.
He's
an angler.
He's a fisherman?
No, John Cox has decisions to be made.
Yeah, no. Wait, say the question again.
Who is the most fortunate angler on the planet right now?
That is currently fishing?
Yeah.
Hank Cherry?
Yes. He's got $300,000 in the bank, dude. He's got the Bassmaster Classic title, and if that happens 1 week later, the Bassmaster Classic does not take place.
I would totally agree.
All right? That is fortunate. Now, please, folks, don't send me hate mail. I am not taking away anything from what the guy did. The guy went out and dominated for 3 days.
No, you're just saying, timing-wise, he was really close to it not even happening.
Yeah. But he's got $300,000 in the bank. He's got the title. He's got, the accolades and everything that he can use to build upon that title. Whereas you've got some anglers in the professional fishing world that have only fished 2 days this entire season. 2 days. Now, some of the responses that I sent back yesterday to these very, very passionate, great BTL fans was, in a lot of the hate mail that I got, Matthew, there was no mention of COVID-19. It was all about, the big guy trying to smash the little guy. And I'm paraphrasing. All right, they didn't use those exact terms. But folks, this entire situation in this business does not take place if it was not for the COVID-19 situation. Bottom line, and the adjustments that are trying to be made, I think you said it yesterday, Matt, and I'm going to give you props for saying it. What the organizations, all the organizations have done to provide a platform, no matter what the conditions are and what the opportunities are, is remarkable with everything that is going on in the world. Right? When it really comes down to it, you have about 300 anglers, 300 people in this entire world. 300, right, that have the opportunity to make money chasing green and brown fish. When you have about 50% of the people in this nation that are burning through their savings and worried whether or not they're going to have a job, what they're going to do after they've already been put on furlough or fired or eliminated or whatever the case is. But these organizations, both Bass and Major League Fishing and FLW, have busted their tails to try and give these 300 or whatever the number is, guys, a platform to make money and provide for their families. You know, they could have very easily, Matthew, said, you know what? We're shutting it down. We're just shutting it down. We're going to scrap 2020 and we're just going to move on to 2021. And all the mail that I got yesterday from people that were upset with what I said, there was no mention of COVID-19 at all. COVID-19 is the reason that these organizations and the anglers and the industry are dealing with the situation that we're dealing with right now. None of this would have happened if it wouldn't have been for COVID-19. Be thankful in all organizations that you have people in place, right, that those 300 guys or whatever the number is have a platform to be able to at least finish the remainder of the season. And hopefully all those people out there that are struggling, burning through their savings, worrying about whether or not they're going to have a job, hopefully things will get better for those people. And that's the fans. Hopefully things will improve for the fans. Those are the people, the workers out there that are working 50, 60 hours a week, or were working 50, 60 hours a week, buying the tackle, buying the boats. You know, that's the big picture. And the microcosm is, yes, these guys, they have a platform to earn a living the remainder of the year and hopefully on to 2021. So that's all I got to say. Listen, folks. Look, opinions are great, and we opened the show by saying that both Matt and I received numerous feedback from people about the conversation that we had yesterday. I could not thank, be it bad or good, the amount of response and how passionate the BTL fans and really fans of fishing in general are. And it is a beautiful thing to be able to do this show and get those hateful responses and get the positive and responses. The good responses
and not
too.
Even hateful. You can disagree without being hateful.
Yeah. I mean, there's just sometimes there's that line that sometimes you cross. You know, it doesn't need to be personal. We don't get personal with anybody.
No, you sometimes get personal with me.
Yeah, but I mean, you're just, you know,
you're like deal with every day when you have all these screens over here.
What do you mean?
Well, the YouTube stream is stalled.
Yeah, and let me mention that real quick. I went in and I looked. Yeah. That is something I do not control. Okay, it is handled through the provider that we use.
Unfortunately, those who are waiting for it to start on YouTube don't know that.
I know.
But anyway, we're going good.
And I tried to do whatever I do to connect it to, and YouTube is down.
It's weird. So I searched and it said that YouTube wasn't down, and then I tried to make a post on it through my personal YouTube, and then that comment didn't show up.
Yeah.
Some crazy stuff going
on. There's some issues with YouTube right now, but we have the main stream, and as soon as the show's over, I'll get the replay out on YouTube to where the people can watch on YouTube. So apologize on that. That is out of our control. All right, man. What else, Matthew? Man, it was chilly. I haven't talked about the weather all week. It was brutally cold.
Yeah.
This morning. And yesterday. Actually, I had the fireplace on, man.
You have a fireplace?
Yeah, it's the modern fireplace.
I got big news.
You just go up and flip the button.
I know we always keep talking about it, but it's changed. So they are making the molds for the big bite baits BFE that Brad Hallman and myself have been working on, mainly Brad. The prototype is 100% done. Then Brad and I spent 4 or 5 hours yesterday at his house going through all 1,474 submissions for the colors.
Yeah.
And we've got it down to 4 or 5. And we're actually, like, right before the show and everything, going through which one we're going to pick. But I talked with some people over at Big Bite, and you know it, and man, we might be less than a month away from this thing, like, being done. Kind of depends on when the molds are made. You know, right now they have a single shot mold, right? And then you have to mill out the deal where they make the, you know, you pull the stringer out and it's got all the baits attached to it and stuff. Like, you ever got those? You had some plastic. So they're building that to where they can eject it. And we've got the other 9 colors already done. So, I mean, by the time that's done and then you do a run, I mean, this thing's going to be here hopefully before the end of June.
So when are you going to make the announcement? I don't even know. I have no idea.
Hopefully this week. Hopefully we'll have it done today. This is a fluid thing, so we've got like 2 or 3 different colors and names. I'll be perfectly honest. We've got we basically have 3 of kind of the same colors with different names. So we're trying to figure out which the best name is. Now, if we do go with that color, we've already made the decision. The name we go with, he'll get the 500 baits, and then the guys who had the same color with the different names, and there might have been more, but there were 3 names that really stuck out, and it all happened to be the same color. And the way Brad and I did this, and it'll be in his video, is we were like, had it circled, well, this is pretty much the same color here. And we loved the names. So we went with one. So if we go with that one, but then there's also a couple dark horse colors that are really unique that are still on the table. I mean, we've got it down to 4 or 5 from 1,500. So we're doing good. And it just comes down to, you want one that's a little bit more familiar with a tweak and a great name, or one that's a little bit more unique. And I told Brad, and I was talking to this dude, this whole bait is not designed around being flashy. It's the BFE by Brad Hallman. I mean, you're gonna put the trolling motor down and flip it, pitch it in the nastiest stuff. So don't go with the color then that's somewhat, magically flashy and stuff. I said, you designed the bait to catch fish, not fishermen, and it looks pretty basic.
Yeah.
So go with the color that you think you're gonna flip and use the most.
Oh, good point. Good point.
So we'll see what happens.
Though. There were some cool names on that list. I never saw the list.
Yeah, there were some really cool names. What we did was we hacked off the email addresses, so we had no idea who sent it. So I haven't even looked at the email addresses of the 5 that we're down to.
Yeah.
I hope it's not like anyone. But it's all on film the whole way we went through it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody on the inside, Dave says, award one person for the best name and one with the best color. That's an idea. Maybe you guys can work something out on that. I don't know. Think about that one. That's not a bad idea.
Yep.
That kind of deviates from what the original plan was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
bait and color name. So that is coming as soon as we exactly have it nailed down. We'll have that announced, and then, like I said, that timeline is fast.
Yeah.
Because that's like a week for them to get that done. It takes a day or two.
Brad's going to be in studio.
Yeah, but we're not sure which day. Either tomorrow or Thursday.
Okay.
Or early next week. But it is moving ahead, and we have narrowed it down to 4 or 5 colors that we'll have to pick one from. But 3 are the same, but the names are different. You understand.
I got it. All right, very cool. All right, that's it. We're going to take a break. Come back with Zell Rowland here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, live sight transducer, or Structure Scan 3D, and get up to $500 cash back.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it in sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage.
Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency.
Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
That's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, a chilly Tuesday here in Oklahoma. And you headed to the lake soon, Matthew? Not today, obviously.
They rescheduled the ABA's Open Series for this weekend on Eufaula, back-to-back days. They kind of changed the schedule around. There's like social.
So you're fishing this weekend?
Yeah, on the website there's like the social distancing measures. They did away with the pre-tournament meeting. You pay, online and that stuff, and then they're doing different stuff at the weigh-in. I guess they got the permits. We're doing it Saturday and Sunday, and then that wraps up the 4-tournament series. And then in September, the super regional whatever is on the Arkansas River. So I can fish it all now. So the schedule change actually worked for me, and I'm in 16th right now in the top 10. Go to the
is it off limits?
Ray Scott Invitational deal. No, off limits.
So you can go practice and
do
whatever you want to do.
Mauling them on Eufaula. I've mentioned it to 3 people, and they're like, "Oh, you just put your trolling motor down. You start out with 19 pounds. It's everywhere." I put it in 3 different ramps. It had 20 pounds within side of the ramp.
Dude,
it's like if you don't catch 20 pounds, you might as well just stick to crappie fishing. And I'm like, oh, great.
Pressure's
I
on
said,
now,
well,
man.
what's 4 days of rain going to do? It won't matter. They're biting so good. Muddy water. It doesn't matter. You just put a lure in the water. You're guaranteed 18 pounds. So
That's right. When's the last time you've been on Eufaula?
No, I went crappie fishing there twice this year. I haven't bass fished there in a year.
Wow.
I told you, Eufaula is a place I have one dock. And for 5 years, I've been able to catch a limit in the first 10 minutes of the morning off one dock on a wacky worm. It's never weighed more than 10 pounds, and I've never caught a largemouth off of it. But at 7 o'clock, I'll have a 10-pound limit of spotted bass.
There you have it. All right, it is time to bring in our guest, and looking forward to it. Somebody that I have admired for, just a tremendous amount
Quit
of years.
sucking
in this
up. You
game.
just won his 3-hook spook, Mark.
Dude,
That's it. You're just saying nice stuff because he's got the 3-hooked spook for you.
Zell and I go way back, man. We go way back.
No, I know you
We
do.
go way
I know.
back.
I know.
And, it is a very challenging time for a lot of people in discussions that Zell and I have had. He wanted to come on the show and kind of talk a little bit about what he's going through and talk about some more great stories that Zell has. So let's bring him in now. Zell, you there, man?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
How are you doing?
Shoot, I'm surviving. I'm listening to them 20-pound bags, and I want to go there.
I hear you. Well, after I weigh in my 12.5 pounds, I'll tell you how I did it.
See, Justin from Eufaula on the instant feedback says BS on the Eufaula bite. And he lives there. So, Matt, I don't know what to tell you. Anyways.
Well, if that's Justin Phillips, then he's sandbagging because that guy will catch 20 pounds every time he gets on the water. If it's Justin Phillips, he did something cruel and unusual to me in my first BFL in 2013. I had that little 18-foot skeeter.
Yeah.
It wasn't firing, like the gas on one of the plugs or something was clogged, so I could only go 33 miles an hour. I ran all the way up to Porham, and I caught 21 pounds even on a rattle trap. And my co-angler's like, it was a lady, and she just was like cheerleading me all day. She's like, you're going to win this thing, blah, blah, blah. And I get back, and I'm leading it. And I don't know if it's Justin Phillips or not, but if it is, this guy sat in his boat and waited till he was the very last guy to weigh in and came in with 21.8.
That's a great move.
Just broke my heart.
That's a great move.
Just sat there and watched all the chumps weigh in, watch me walk around, getting all nervous.
That's a great move
then
on
drop
his part.
21.8.
All right, Zell, man, thank you so much for taking time out. And I want to kick things off. Just kind of let everybody know what this past 2 months, 8 weeks, whatever you want to say, is really done to you from a fishing standpoint, from a sponsorship standpoint, and really just kind of from a life standpoint. It has been a very challenging 8 weeks.
Oh, absolutely, Mark. It's when boat companies aren't selling boats and tackle companies aren't selling baits and rods and reels, it's going to be pretty devastating for a lot of guys. I've lost probably one of the biggest sponsors I've been with for quite some time, which is Pradco Outdoor Brands. I've been with them for close to 30 years, and I understand their philosophy behind everything. When they're not moving baits out of Academy Sporting Goods and Walmarts, and it's tough on everybody.
I was perusing trying to find some photos through our library and our catalog, and dude, there's not a single photo that I can find from the vast majority of them are all Pradco brands. You're sporting their T-shirt, their jersey, their hat. I mean, dude, the Popar and the Zera Spook, that is you. That is Zell Rowland.
Well, hopefully as time goes on, I don't know, the fishing industry it's a different animal. It's not like a lot of sports. It's a very close niche sport. It's other than anglers. There's more anglers, I think, than there are sponsors in our sport. That's why MLF is trying so hard to bring in outside industry sponsors to the anglers. That would really grow the sport if they're successful at doing that. I know Bass has tried to do the same thing from time to time, and nobody's been, in my opinion, extremely successful at doing that. And so it's got us where we're here. The fishing industry is a very close niche family, and as you well know, and it's going to be interesting to see if I can find something in the industry, working with maybe a different company to help them engineer baits. I've got lots of baits that top order baits that the world has never seen, and I'm dying to bring them to them.
So I'm curious, do they own the rights to the lure or the name Pop R, or is that something that you can take to another company and actually use that?
No, I think they own the rights to the Rebel brand, which is the Rebel Pop R. But like the Zell Pop, I'm not very sure of, but I mean that's something they came out with later that's similar to a Yellow Magic. It has a real flat face on it. I developed the Booyah prank form this several years ago, and they must be selling them because they still have them.
Wow.
So coming soon, the Zell Rowland Pop Q.
Pop Z.
Or the Pop S.
The Pop Z.
It's all around the R. Just go one letter before or after.
Well, Mark, you've known me for a long, long time, and in reality, the bait that I modify and sand down, it's never been made, and it sits different in the water. I can do multiple things with the one bait, which that's what makes that's what makes Kevin Van Dam, is he's able to take one bait and do multiple things with one bait. And that's what creates a lot of great anglers in this world.
What did the R stand for?
Do what?
What did the R stand for in Pop R?
That's just, I think when they originally made that bait, I think it was back in the late 70s. The R stood for the Rebel brand.
Okay. Jeffries?
What was that?
Jeffries just had a can of beer explode in his refrigerator.
Is that what that was?
Yeah,
look at that.
Look at it dripping down the front. He's got a clear glass refrigerator where he keeps all of his beverages. And I mean, one just went boom, and it's just dripping down the front
I've
of
never
the
seen that before.
refrigerator.
You ever
now.
seen that before?
No, which one was it?
I don't know.
What do you have in there?
I have no idea.
You don't have any illicit substances in there, do you?
No, that's crazy.
I mean,
man.
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay, so it stood for Rebel. Moving on.
There you have it. I was like, what the heck was that? Anyways, Zell, so with the current situation and with you, obviously they were a substantial part of your sponsor lineup. How is this going to affect your fishing going forward? And what are you going to do, man?
Well, I don't know yet. We're a quarter, almost halfway through our season. We don't have but 3 events left. I'm probably going to try to fish those 3 if possible. The hard thing is we didn't have the ICAST show this year because of the coronavirus. And that's where you go to meet the other people in the industry with the other companies. So now it's sort of like the double whammy at one time, because now you're going to go by and talk. You're going to talk to lots of people trying to find contacts to find a place to go. And there's very few companies in this industry that's got the power of a Predco Outdoor brand, where they have what I would say the opportunity to make anything. And they do have that capability. So it's been fun, and but part of my job was promoting the brands more so than developing the product. And I had another company that came after me about a year and a half ago, and God, it makes me wonder, should I have taken it? But maybe that door will still be open. Don't know. I hadn't been able to get that many people on the phone, and they wanted me to sort of come in and work with their engineers to develop new lines of baits with them, sort of like Fritz does with Berkeley.
Zell, you've been in this game for over 40 years. How would you classify the difficulty of being in this business right now during, say, the past 12 to 24 months? Is this the most difficult time in your 40-year career?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, it's pretty devastating, and I would really, Mark, I would say a big part of that is fishing is a seasonal sport, and what I mean by that is there's times of the year you're going to flip a jig. There's times of the year you're going to fish a spinner bait, throw a topwater bait, fish a crankbait, and what's happened is we've missed quite a bit of that season. And a lot of these manufacturers, their warehouses are full of baits. And because nobody came into the stores to buy stuff because they were closed. So what I look to see happen is over the next, say, 3 to 6 months, these corporations are going to blow these baits out the doors to the retailers. They're going to have to make room for new product for 2021. And these stores are going to be loaded with product. So I think it's going to take a while before you see that chain sort of turn around or filter through. And I mean, it could be 6 months, it could be as much as after the first quarter of next year.
Wow. All right, man. When you look back at your career and so many tournaments, so many experiences, how often do you think that there were situations where you were, let's just say, I don't want to say stubborn, but convicted to doing one thing? In other words, sticking with that topwater or sticking with that spinnerbait or whatever. Do you think that your experience over that 40 years, being committed to a certain tactic or lure, has hindered you over your career?
No, it's like last year. I made myself fish an entire tournament with a spinning rod and a plastic worm, and you know me, a spinning rod ain't my deal.
Yeah.
But fishermen are going to fish their strengths, whether they be shallow or deep. And I would say 80% of the tournaments I've ever fished in my lifetime have been one shallow. And there are a lot that's, with today's technology and depth finders, I mean, there is a lot of tournaments starting to become one deeper than 10 or 12 feet, which it's really, you really got to do a lot of homework before you go to a body of water to be able to do extremely well.
All right, man, give me a story. Give me a story of an angler that during a tournament, be it before, during, obviously not after, maybe after, that an angler came up to you and said, Zell, dude, I really need one of these Zero Spooks, man. Help me out. I really need one of these pop R's. What is a behind-the-scenes story that you can tell us about an angler that was in a desperate situation and came to you for a lure?
Probably Denny Breyer.
What? What? All right, I got to hear this. What happened?
Well, I'd given Denny a Zell Spook that I custom painted, and it was my idea of baits being painted are pretty simple. I like them to I like the colors of the bait to be as realistic to bait fish, shad, or minnows, or whatever's in the lake. And I'd given Denny a Zell Spook, and he was really catching them, but he didn't want to tell me what he was catching them on until he broke it. And he came to me about the second day, and he said, "Hey man," he says, "Do you have one of these spooks?" I said, "I think so." I said, "I gave you one." I said, "I may have given you the only one I had, but I usually have two of everything." He said, "Well, let me see your box." So I handed him my spook box, and he opened it up, and he said, "Oh, that's the one I want right there." And he took it out. But, you know, I've been one of them guys. I mean, I've given Van Dam pop R's before that I sand down. A lot of them guys know that bait that I have is special, and that's usually the one they get.
Have you ever been beaten out of the back of your boat, either by a co-angler in the co-angler days or a pro-on-pro draw, with someone who was throwing a topwater while you were throwing a topwater in front of them?
I've had it cost me $100,000 before.
What?
And I had we were on Lake Murray. It's the tournament Denny won years ago. And I was fishing a Rebel Pop R. And I had given my co-angler one. Pretty same color as what I was throwing. I like my co-anglers to catch fish. And because those are the guys that buy the rods, that buy the reels, that buy the baits. And a lot of the pros don't go buy rods. They call their sponsor or call a company, and if the company thinks that pro is good enough, they'll send him some rods. But we were on Lake Murray, and I think it was probably about 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning. I'd already caught probably about 22, 23 pounds. And I needed one more 5-pounder to put me over the hump to at least take a shot at beating Denny. And I told that co-angler, I said, "Man, I got the spot." I said, I know where I'm going to catch one. And I roll in there, and, you know, you could see the bottom and then see the break where it went from sand to 6 foot deep. And I said, somewhere along that edge right there, I'm going to catch one. And so I pull up there. I'm putting the trolling motor in the water. Just as I make a cast, the camera boat pulls up to me and goes, "Man, can we put a mic on you?" And I said, "Right now?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." So I laid my rod down. My bait's floating 20 yards from the boat. I put the mic under my shirt, and I turn it on, and I said, "You hear me?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, everything's good." Well, my co-angler makes a cast. He can't see that little bait sitting in the water. And his bait lands about 3 feet from mine, and he hits it one time, and about a 6-pounder swallows it.
Oh.
And he reels it in, and I gotta lift this fish, okay?
With your bait in its mouth that you had given him.
Right. So I lift the fish. I put him over in the boat. The camera guys, they ain't saying nothing. And I'm not talking.
Oh, geez.
And I go on down the bank. Next thing I know, the camera guy cranks up and they just leave. Well, they leave, and I still got their mic on me. So after I weighed in, I think I finished second at Lake Murray, and then he ended up winning. The camera guy walks over to me and he says, "Man, I just want to apologize." He said, "You would have probably have caught that fish. The possibility of that was probably pretty high." And I didn't say anything. And he says, "I didn't want to ask you for my mic back then, but can I have it now?" And I said, "Oh yeah, you can have it now." But you know, I've had lots of co-anglers that are great fishermen. They're not. I mean, you can define them as a co-angler, but they're a little better than the average angler. And, you know, it's those guys that get in your boat that has a little paper bag with a handful of baits in it. Those are the guys you got to worry about. The guys that get in your boat that's got 4 tackle sacks, you ain't got to worry about them as much. But, you know, I love fishing with people, and it never stops.
So we talked about it at the beginning of the show. Very unique signature that you have, Zell. The Zell Pop, the Pop R, whatever you want to call it. When did you start doing that? And was that something that just came naturally, or did you think about that? When did that start?
Well, you know, all anglers have a unique signature in some form or fashion, and I decided I sketch different baits all the time. I draw different types of topwater baits and fiddle with changing stuff, and I drew a Pop R, and I said, "Man, that was really easy. It's like 3 lines." When I signed my name, I put it underneath my name. I said, "That's sort of a little trademark." So a lot of people, when I sign an autograph for somebody, if I'm at the Bassmasters Classic and I'm signing autographs, if I don't put that on there, the people that have seen it in the past, they'll walk about 10 feet away and then turn around and come back. But no, it's just a trademark of myself that's me. I mean, I love fishing topwater, and because I can see the fish get it.
You have one of those, Mark? You have a Zell Rowland autograph with the topwater bait on it?
Somewhere.
I got one from the 1998 Bassmaster Classic. He signed it right on the left, where it was like the first year that the PF or they were like the breakaway.
Yeah.
Not the breakaway. They were like button downs. It was where you're supposed to put your cigarettes.
Yeah.
It was 1998, and he signed it. I was 12. I wasn't putting cigarettes there, but he signed it right there with the big Pop R thing. I had all the classic competitors that year sign it, but Zell's like, it sticks out like that.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad commented on how much time you took to sign it and to do such a neat job on that bait that he was a big fan of yours after that, just based on how you didn't just scribble your name on the shirt like everyone else did, because we had to go home then and we had 50 anglers, and you know, sometimes, you know, the Bass Nation guys were hard, but there were still 4 or 5 of those where, who the hell is that? Like, you can't make out a single letter on it. You know, but so there's my Zell Rowland autograph story.
I did one time at the Bassmasters Classic. I decided I was going to make some Zell Rowland T-shirts, and with a Pop R on it, and put my name on them. And I made them for kids. So every kid that came through the autograph line, I gave them T-shirts. And the parents got mad because they didn't get a T-shirt.
There you go. Second career right now, Zell. Open up the e-commerce shop
There you go.
I'd wear one. Hell, I know Jeffries would wear one. He'd wear it. He'd wear it every day.
Might wear it on the show.
Throws at top water.
All right, let's do this, Zell. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with some questions from the instant feedback here on a Tuesday with Zell Rowland. Everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine, offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, I mean, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back with our special guest, Mr. Zell Rowland, and we're going to get to some of the questions on the instant feedback now. Zell, Andy in Indiana wants to know, have you ever collaborated with another angler to build a bait?
You know, over all the years I've fished as a fisherman, I learned something from somebody almost every time I go in the water. Not all the time, but 80% of the time. And I've gotten to fish with all the greatest anglers of all time. I've been in the boat with Van Dam. I've been in the boat with Bill Dance, Roland Martin, Jimmy Houston. And what you learn is things they do and baits they have. And I've collaborated with more so engineers, and because I want to know their philosophy when they come up with a bait. Or, one of the greatest problems I think a lot of professional fishermen have is there's very few baits that most of us won't touch in some form or fashion to make it better or to get a different action. And the problems that we fight a lot of times is with the engineers. When we put a bait together, they want to add something to it to make it prettier. Well, prettier sells fishermen more so than catch fish. I've got some of the most awesome looking baits you've ever seen in your life, as far as looking very realistic. And in all honesty, I've not caught too many more fish on those than I have a realistic shad bait versus one that has the true colors of a shad on the bait. And so I think the color schemes on a bait being dark or light with black scales or whatever, I think those play more of a role in a lot of baits than anything.
All right, Patrick in Indiana wants to know, look, he goes, I don't want your secrets, but can you give up one thing that can make my Pop-R work better?
Well, he probably doesn't have one like me. But
give him a bone there, Zell.
I would tell him this. I mean, every top order bait I throw, I hand tie my own feathers. If you look at one of the hooks that I fish with, every feathered hook is tied with 6 feathers. And depending on the water clarity, if the water's a little stained, then I'll add 2 out of the 6 feathers. I'll add 2 of those feathers will be darker than just white. In other words, I'll use 4 white feathers with 2 dark blue feathers or 2 chartreuse feathers to get that look on the bait. So that's what I try to do a lot of times when I'm fishing, is I add those colors.
This picture is covered together. Zell, you're in a little bit of a pickle right now man, you sell t-shirts with the Zell Pop on it. I'm not joking. I'd pay $10. I would pay $10, $5 a hook for a pair of Zell Rowland hand-tied feather trebles. And you laugh at that, but I am serious. How long did it take to get an e-commerce site set up? A day?
Not long.
Less than a day. You get... Watch, the instant feedback will blow up. People 100% agree with me. $10, 2 trebles, $5 a treble hook. You're making money on that. You got four feathers, or 6, depending on if it's muddy water or not. 4 feathers on it, $5 a hook. You're selling those things out the door. You're back to filet mignon cruising down the lake in your speedboat back in no time.
Well, I tried years ago. I said, I'm gonna modify Pop-R's for people, but I'm gonna shut it off at 200 baits. And I said, I'm gonna make Mark Jeffries go to Walmart and buy a Pop-R and send it to me with a check. And I'm gonna modify it for him and send it back. I had 200 people do that in less than 6 months. And it took me a year to make that $5,000.
Here's the next question that we've seen you. We see you at the Bassmaster Classic. We see you at the Dremel Tools. You do all this stuff. Has it just been your personal decision not to say, hey, make the bait like this?
Well, I've tried to get them to make the bait like that, and they, here's the old saying, and your dad told you this when you were growing up. If it's not broke, you don't fix it. So it's like the Zera spook, like the 3-hook spook that Mark's foaming at the mouth over here to get.
That's right.
Just show a little, just flash it really quick for later in the show. Just flash it across the screen.
There's reasons fish get off a Zera spook. And one of those reasons is the hardware they put on one. And usually a Zera spook's a bait. If you take the original size one and you hook a 7-pounder, he has a big mouth, he's real strong, and when he shakes that head from left to right to try to get rid of it, it puts the hooks in a bind and it kicks the bait out sometimes. When I put 3 hooks on one and I redo the bait, it like super glues it to the side of his head. I mean, he can't throw that bait as easy. And it makes the bait sit a little different in the water, and it's easier for the average angler to fish it. Matter of fact, Mark hadn't seen my other ones, but I might have to dig deep for him for that. But I don't have I do not throw a Zera spook that does not have 3 hooks on it, and that includes the regular spook, the spook junior. The super spook has 3 hooks on it, but I won't throw one without that.
Does he have them sitting right there?
He does.
Well, quit teasing us.
Show it, Zell. I know you've got one right there. There you have it.
Right there. That's got Mark's name on it right there.
That's right.
It has your name on the other side.
See, I did him 2 of them, and I expect him to fish with them and not hang them in his cabinet.
So you modified and made those for him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've been asking for him for 5 years.
I agree. You have. And to pull in, if you've listened to BTL for the past, what if those is a baby bass pattern, Mark?
Yeah, I understand that.
We did the 3-hook spook years ago, and because I've never done a bait royalty with anybody, Predco's always been extremely good to me at what they have done over the years. They wanted, when we built the 3-hook spook with the Zell Rowland name on the side, they decided they wanted to build the Zell Pop. Well, I didn't want a whole lot of baits out there with my name on it unless I had something to do with it. So I said, if y'all want to do the Zell Pop, take my name off the spook and you can put it on the Zell Pop. So that's what they did. And it didn't take long for the 3-hook spook to go away. And if a guy Googles it on, a lot of fishermen like Googling things and pulling up old things. If you Google that bait now, it's like $50.
Yeah, it's up there. All right, back to the instant feedback. A number of people want to know, what is the best line to use with a Pop-R?
Well, every topwater bait I fish with, Jeff, I use monofilament. I will not use braid because braid doesn't have a lot of stretch. I mean, it's like pulling rope. And I want a little stretch in my line. So when the fish blows on the bait and I'm setting the hook because it's something I see, the mono will have just a little stretch in it with the right rod to give the fish time enough to get the bait. If you use fluorocarbon, it sinks and it makes it extremely hard to work a bait.
All right, real quick, let's do this, Zell. The Sky feed is kind of went kooky. I don't know what's going on. So I'm gonna hang up, and then I'm gonna call you right back on Skype. Okay? All right. Everybody hold tight here. Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. We're experiencing some kooky things today, Matthew.
$76.95 in the package.
How much?
$76.95 is the buy it now price. It's in the package. It says as seen on TV. We'll have to ask him about that.
So the packaging, and I don't remember what year it was.
It was Excalibur.
Yeah. All right, you there, man?
There you are.
What was it? What about the packaging then?
Well, hang on. Let's get the feed. I don't have. Did you answer with video there, Zell?
I think I did. Let me look.
Because his autograph on it, it was the Excalibur.
Yeah.
Right? But his autograph on it does not have the pop R on it. Under his name, though, it does say Topwater King on the packaging. It says pros.
I can see you, Mark. Can you see me?
No, I can't see you. Here, I'm going to hang up and call you back.
It says Pro.
Answer with video, though.
Zara Spook Autograph Series. But then up in the top left corner, it says as seen on TV.
Yeah, there was a special run of packaging that they had. In fact,
there's an infomercial on the 3-foot hook spook?
No. I've actually got a crankbait over there. All right, now he's back. Let's see if that's better. Yeah, that's better. Much better. Let me get him queued.
What do you
up
have?
here.
Where's your crankbait?
Hang
does
on.
it have the as seen on TV on it?
I think it does.
Is it on the wall over there?
I think it is. Zell, we're talking about, do you remember when the Signature Series came out, the 3-hook spook and all that? There were some packages that had as seen on TV on them. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
What was the deal on that?
You remember when old Guido Hibden and Dion and them boys did the flying lure?
Yeah.
I thought that was Rowland.
That was the first telemarketed bait ever done, was the flying lure. And they made a killing.
Yeah, it wasn't. Rowland was the helicopter lure.
Oh, yeah.
Rowland was the famous helicopter
But the
lure.
flying lure. No, I had the flying lure. It caught the crap out of fish. I love the flying lure. It caught them.
Yeah, it caught him. It was a unique bait. The Pradco Outdoor Brands, we shot some video for that kind of stuff, but I don't know if they ever
aired it.
But we had we came out with an autograph series where it was like myself with Larry Nixon and Denny Breyer and Kevin Van Dam. We all did an Excalibur series of baits.
Did Mark Menendez have a jerk bait that was a signature series?
Yeah, Mark also.
Mark Davis, yeah.
Yeah, we all had a bait.
And it was the Pro Autograph Series.
Right.
I'm looking at the package right now. I don't know if you were on or not. How much? You know, I guess how much the buy it now price is for an in the package with the bubble wrap packing on it. $76.95. Buy it now. That could be yours, Zell. A 3-hook spook. I hear they're good.
I need to sell them. I'll give them a deal. I'll give them a deal for $29.99. But no, it's a terrific bait. I've actually had anglers call me asking me for that bait, and I mean it's outstanding. You know, I mean it's a bait that catches fish, and you don't lose a lot on it.
Silent though, right?
Some of them are silent. Some had rattles. Some of them, you know, in the old days, what was his name? What's Charlie's last name?
Ingram?
No.
Evans?
No,
Brewer?
he was at Bass Pro.
Oh.
It wasn't Charlie Evans. This guy was, him and Basil Bacon were the two guys that were spook fishermen. And they could throw, I fished with Basil out at Lake Mead one time, and I learned so much about a passion I had for topwater baits in one day that it floored me. And then I started messing with the bait, and the way we would make it better was, back in those days, we weighted, that bait was weighted with a bell-shaped weight in the tail. And we would stick an ice pick in the tail and bust that weight loose so it would really knock and not click when you jerked it through the water.
Was that Charlie Campbell?
That's him.
Yeah, he just passed away not too long ago. Yeah.
Charlie was one of the greatest spook fishermen I'd ever been in a boat with.
Really?
He taught me how to make that bait turn almost 90 degrees in the water. And it was phenomenal. If you had the right, all topwater baits, it's all about having the right rod. And the one thing that, all the guys had in common that I got to fish with that threw topwater baits, that was the one thing they all had in sync, was the right rod. And so I developed a rod for All-Star years and years ago. We called it a TWS, and it was more or less a rod that was built for topwater fishing. And now I've got All-Star. When they sold, they changed the action, and I got Impulse rods to build that rod and make it. I had them extend the length of it like 2 inches. So instead of being 6'6", it's 6'8". And you can tie a Zara spook on it and spool. You can spool your bait caster when you throw it, if you throw it hard enough.
What are the characteristics of that rod, Zell?
It's not like anything else anybody has ever built. Gary Loomis, which everybody knows Gary, one of the greatest rod builders of all times as far as blanks. He developed that mandrel for us to build those blanks. And the very tip of the rod, the first 3 to 5 inches, is extremely light. And as you progress about every 10 to 12 inches down 10 to 15 inches down the blank, it goes from extremely light to medium or medium light to medium heavy, to when you get down to about the last, I'm going to say 3 foot of the rod blank, it's like a broomstick. So when it works on the same theory as a bow and arrow. You load it up, and when it's loaded, you can't pull it back any further, and everything's tight. So when a fish blows on the bait, as I set the hook, he's given another 3 seconds to take the bait underwater. And then when the rod loads up, most baits today, the hooks on our fishing lures are extremely sharp. You hook them. And then as the fish is pulling and fighting, and as you're pulling, it gives that little momentum in the blank to allow the fish the easiness of being on the end of that rod.
Huh. All right. Leroy in Kentucky wants to know, what's the best hooks for a Pop R?
I don't ever upsize a hook on any of my baits, for the simple reason that all pro anglers that have a comment or that do things with baits. I like a wide bite hook, regardless of the hook brand. And if I take number 6s off of it, I put number 6s back on it. And in today's, the best hook that any angler can use by far is what we call a needle point hook. The point of that hook will be perfectly round, and it punctures and goes in real easy without tearing. And it'll stick a fish twice as fast.
He has a follow-up question. What's the best animal feathers to use?
Chicken feathers.
It's an interesting question.
Chicken feathers are sort of water resistant to some extent. They're very quick at the action or reaction in the water when you pull a bait and stop it. I've used a lot of different types of feathers, and I've tied some that look really pretty. They don't catch nothing, but they look good.
Never on a spook, though. Always just on the popper?
Oh, I put feathers on spooks. I put them on poppars. I put them, you saw a bait that came out last year from Pradco. They took the hula popper and put feathers on it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right. Michael in East Texas wants to know, what are the characteristics about Conroe that have changed since, let's see here, the 80s and 90s with the lack of hydrilla?
Well, I mean, these guys that live around here, I live 2 blocks from the boat ramp. I don't get to fish as much here as I used to because I'm always on the road or traveling. But the characteristics years ago, instead of catching a lot of topwater fish on the edge of vegetation, now you catch them either on the wood or you catch them on the riprap or boat docks, where years ago when you had hydrilla, you didn't catch that many fish on that stuff. And now the anglers that live around here locally, I think they've sunken about everything you can sink in the lake. And it's a lot of these guys have put the structure in water less than 20 feet. And so a lot of the fish that live in this lake now stay in water less than 20 feet. So it's a tremendous lake. It's like any other lake. There's certain times of the year it fishes tough, and there's certain times of the year it's as good as it gets. I mean, I had a buddy of mine fish a tournament the other day. This was, I think, last week. He fished. He had a Saturday morning tournament where they weighed 5 fish, and he had 33 pounds. And I mean, that's catching them this time of year in my book.
Yeah.
I remember when I fished there and was side imaging. There's a lot of tires on the bottom of that lake, like just tons of tire reefs and piles of tires and stuff, like all over. Like instead of brush piles, guys will strap tires together and sink them.
Oh yeah, There's I sunk a barge out there one night.
What? How did that go down? You got to tell. You got. Wait, no. You allegedly sunk a barge.
Yeah.
I figured it'd go down easy. It was an old wooden barge, and they had it tied up at the marina. And I said, "Y'all want that?" And he goes, "No, you can have it." I said, "Oh yeah." I took that thing out there, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I took a sledgehammer and jumped off in there, and I went to whacking on the bottom of it, and I bet I whacked on it for an hour. And it's still floating. And I said, dang, this thing ain't going to sink. So I took it back to the marina and tied it up to the dock. And I said, well, I'll take it out tomorrow night. And I come back the next morning, it's underwater.
Oh, jeez.
So that's your hint where it's at. It's next to a dock somewhere on Conroe.
You ever caught anything off of it?
Huh.
Have you ever caught anything off of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, these fish on this lake have really gotten structure related, especially in June, July, August. And it's you don't catch a lot of fish off the structure, but when you get a bite, it's usually it's a good one.
All right. Let's see here. A couple people want to know, what's the best knot for a popar, and how important is it where you tie that knot?
Well, it's not as important where you tie the knot. I mean, if I'm tying it extremely quick, I'll use a Palomar. If I'm going to take my time, I use that San Diego knot a lot. That's probably one of the strongest knots I've ever tied. The knot itself doesn't break, where a Palomar knot, if it's tied incorrectly, and it will break because the line will cut itself.
All right. Roy wants to know, what hooks do you use on the spooks? We talked about the popars. What about the spooks?
Same thing. You know, if you modify a spook and you're going to add a hook to it, you have to downsize the hooks one size. I think what comes on them was threes, two number threes. So I have 3 number 4s on mine, and I use all wide bite, short shank hooks. And, you know, here's what, you know, I mentioned to you earlier about why fish get off some of them. If I take your bait right here, Mark, and I turn this bait upside down, the hooks lay on the bait. They're not in a bind. So when I hook that fish and I'm fighting him to the boat, but the only way you can get that is to downsize the hooks. If you were to put the same size hooks on the bait that came on there, then they eventually, as you would be working that bait, it'd get tangled up.
All right, there you have it. Now, this story is from Danny in Oklahoma. We're going to see if you remember this. He said an older friend of his fished with you on Lake Tenkiller. He doesn't say what year or anything like that, but he said the gentleman said it was one of the most impressive days on the water that he ever experienced because you caught him all day long on a popar, and he wanted to know if you remembered that. Do you remember that day from Lake Tenkiller?
That was many, many years ago, and yeah, I remember the day. And there's lots of times I can take a topwater bait, and I can fish the bait shallow all day long and catch fish all day long. It may not be the way to win a tournament, but I can catch fish. It's all about catching fish. And so there'll be lots of days I'll throw a topwater bait all day and love every minute of it.
All right. Got to ask you this, you know, with the difficulties that you're going through right now, have you thought about getting back into the guiding business and maybe the instructional business? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know, I talked it over with my wife a little bit, and you know, it would probably supplement a little bit of the income that we're going to take a hit on, and I would love to be able to give the younger generation who knows it all, as me and you talked about the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to read something my wife's showing me. I can't read it. But I would like to teach these young men how to sharpen up on the techniques a lot of them already know about. So let's say, for example, there's a guy out there that says, man, I want to know how to fish a Zell spoon. Or I want to know, because all these baits are different. Or I want to know how to fish a pop-off. If they were to call me and want to book a day, and they want to sharpen their techniques on a specific way of fishing, then that's how we're going to go fishing. We may not catch a fish, but we're not out there to catch a fish. We're out there to learn where you throw it, how you throw it, where you can throw it, where you shouldn't throw it, and all the different ways to work a bait. Now, it's still up to that young man or to that older gentleman. Practice makes it better. So the more he takes from that and goes fishing, the better he'll become at working those type of baits.
I think there would be a number of people, Matt, that would like to spend a day in the boat with Zell. And
absolutely.
And it's not a guide trip. It's a
educational trip.
Yeah.
/ life experience.
Yeah.
/ might catch a few.
Yeah. So if there's some BTL fans that want to do that, how do they make that happen?
You can give them, well, I hate giving everybody my phone number.
No. You got an email address or something?
Yeah.
Or a pager?
They could
You got a pager number there, Zell?
Just page me. It's on the left hip.
You know, they could message me on Messenger on Facebook.
There you go.
Okay.
Or you know, that would probably be the best way, because that's something that Donna looks at every day.
Okay.
And I would gladly get back to him. But I think it'd be a great experience for a lot of high school kids. These kids are pretty good anglers to start with, but it's like, I remember when we had the Classic in Pittsburgh and we fished with a bunch of them kids on the river there. The rules were we couldn't tell them anything. And there wasn't but 2 teams that caught a limit, and my kids caught one. But man, if I could have just told them to flip a jig instead of what they were flipping, they would have killed them.
Wow. I think you're going to have a lot more besides high school kids too that are interested in this.
Yeah.
I think you could get a solid 1,000 out of Jeffries.
You know what? I had a guy. I was so disappointed when they canceled the FLW Tour event at Lake Dardanelle this year. That I've done real well there. Mm-hmm. And I think I've caught one of the biggest stringers that's ever come out of that lake in a BASS event. I had 5 that weighed over 25. And the guy that was with me in the boat, right off the bat that morning, I caught like a 3-pounder, and then I caught a 7-pounder or a 6-pounder. And at the minute I lipped that fish and I put him in the boat, a bell went off in my head where to look. And I told this guy, I said, we're getting ready to go really hurt them right now. And he says, how do you know that? I said, because I know what they're relating to. And I said, we're not going to get a lot of bites during the day, but when we get one, it won't be no little one. And I took this guy into an area, and I dropped the trolling motor, and I started down the bank, and I catch a 5-pounder. Well, I boat flip him in the boat. And this guy goes, can't you use a net? I said, yeah, but shoot, he had it in his throat. So as I went down through there, it took me about 4.5 hours to fish the area. I had 4 other bites, and I had over 20 pounds. And I told this guy, I said, how much time do we have left? He said, you got 10 minutes. I said, see that tree back there? I need to go back to that tree and I'll catch one out of that tree. He goes, how do you know that? I said, because we ain't flipped that tree all day long. So I went back to that tree. The first pitch I made, that jig didn't go down 2 feet. And the line jumped, and I swung on him, and I boat flipped a 6-pounder. And that guy looked at me, and he says, you know what? I said, what? He said, I'd have paid $1,000 to see you do this all day long. And he says, you never lipped a single fish. I said, man, we live in Texas. And I said, we don't lip 5-pounders. We boat flip them.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow. All right, man. We're going to wrap this thing up by asking you, what is the best topwater lake you've ever fished in your life?
Oh, my gosh, Jeff. There's so many. I mean,
give me one.
I would say Sam Rayburn's was one of that, and Lake Murray.
Really?
Those were two of the greatest topwater lakes I've ever gotten to fish. And Rayburn's hard to beat because it has a lot of different variety of things you can go throw a topwater bait around. You can throw it around vegetation. You can throw it around bushes. It just has a lot, and it's a lot of fun. It's hard not to go over there. And, what I call a good day on the lake is not catching 5-pounders. It's going out on the lake and catching 30 or 40 in a day. Yeah. And if you catch a few 5-pounders, that's great. The minute you start fishing for a fish that weighs between 3 and 6 pounds, your whole technique changes, and how you fish for one changes. You start looking instead of looking for the shoreline that's 50 yards long, you're looking for the shoreline that's 20 yards long. And when you pull up there, you're only going to get one bite, maybe 2 at the most. And if you get one of them, it's a good one.
All right, man. Great stuff. And, man, I wish you nothing but the best, Zell. I know it's a challenging time, as it is for a number of people in the industry and really outside the industry too. But hopefully things will work out. Hopefully you will be fishing the remaining FLW events. And then hopefully some people will contact you on Facebook, man. That's an opportunity of a lifetime to get educated on topwater or whatever technique that you want to get educated from Zell Rowland on the water. So just go to Zell's Facebook page, and you can message him there and get in touch with Zell, and hopefully that will work out for you, man.
And I promise you, I will put these in the mail first thing tomorrow morning.
Okay. You had the envelope there too, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay.
I won't show your address.
Okay. He's got the envelope. They're coming, Matt.
And I'm gonna put it in there.
You're putting 2 in there.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
You can sell one to Matt for $75.
What 2 are you sending him, though? That's what
awesome.
Everyone wants to know. We've seen the baby bass one, but there's a second one there that you keep flashing around.
It's the shad pattern, isn't it?
Yeah, this is a old shad pattern.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is the one that's white with a little gray on the back with some silver on the side.
Yeah.
But Mark's favorite one is going to be this one right here.
Yeah, that's an original right there. All right, Zell, man. Be safe, and we will definitely talk to you soon, man.
Okay, Mark.
All right, man.
See you.
All right, take care. There you have it, Zell Rowland. And just a class act and one of the icons in the game when it comes to a reference to a technique. And folks, seriously, man, that is, I have no idea what he would charge. I don't even think he knows what he would charge. But the opportunity to spend a day learning from Zell Rowland would be off the charts to be able to do that.
Is he, would you put him, so he's been on the FLW tour basically for the past decade.
Yeah.
Would you consider him an underrated angler for that high school, early 20s age guys who don't remember the $1 million and 35 top 10 finishes and massive bags that he had back with Bass. Do you think that, as you like to refer, the entitled, non-hardworking youth
I'm not gonna
of
bring
today
that up. No.
need to do a little history on how much he knows what he's talking about?
I think some of the younger anglers, actually do go back and research and look at some of the vintage players in this game. I think the vast majority of them, though, they don't have a clue who Zell Rowland is. They have no idea. Even the fact that they may throw a pop-R, they have no idea what the origin is. They have no idea who's really associated with that. Now, I'm not talking to everybody. But the significance and the impact that Zell Rowland had on the game, on the lure industry, was priceless. It really was. By the way, I was talking about that Excalibur. This is one of the original...
Bill Dance.
Yeah.
The hi-hat champion.
Yeah.
There is one. It says it's an original. It's a 3-hooked spook.
Yeah.
Signed by Zell Rowland. I'm kind of just curious to see what
Mark Davis had.
I'm just curious to see what happens here. It has 4 days, 3 hours left on the bid.
Yeah.
It's had 4 bids. The starting bid, this is available right now on eBay. I just typed in Zell Rowland is all I typed in. It started at 99 cents. There's a bid May 6th, May 6th, May 7th, May 7th, and May 8th. It's not in the package. Hooks are covered. Looks legit.
Yeah.
What do you think it's up to?
$50.
Right now it's at $13.27.
Oh!
And there is no buy it now.
How long does it last?
Another 4 days and 3 hours.
All right. There you have it.
Now there's one in the package. Like I said, that one in the package.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where it went now. There's one of his impulse rods is on there too. Here's one in the package, $76, and then there's another one on there, and it's actually in mint condition, the same in the package, and it's in a wooden box with a glass front, kind of like a fire hydrant.
Wow.
What is that? A fire extinguisher?
Yeah.
And it says, in case of emergency, break glass. And it's in there.
That's good.
Now, if you had a special event coming up, your birthday's not till what, November?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it $124.99?
Wow.
But it's in a nice case and everything.
Yeah.
And it
kind of like your Jordan Lee water.
It's in mint condition, yeah, and it's in your favorite color there. So.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you're paying for the case.
Yeah,
too.
it's kind of pricey though. Well, great stuff from Zell, and we'll get him back on later on. I hope he can pull resources together, and hopefully he's going to be able to fish the remaining FLW events, man.
I mean,
it's a reality.
Would you not buy his feathered trebles, or do you think I'm just off my rocker on that?
There's people out there that would buy them.
I would, if for nothing else but confidence factor.
Yeah.
I mean, you go out with your buddy, you're like, oh, that's cool. What's that? It's Zell Rowland hand-tied that feathered treble.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
obviously
the T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah. But once again, how many people today...
He needs to be getting on Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
Promoting them.
TikTok. I could see him doing TikTok.
I have not been on TikTok once in my life.
It's a dance thing. It's like you
I wonder
duplicate.
If I'm missing the boat on that one.
I don't know.
In 5 years, I'll actually win one of these tournaments I've fished. A sponsor will be like, 0 TikTok followers. Next. I would be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, Jake in Ohio, I've been preaching it for years. They need to have a Legends Tour, even if it's only 2 or 3 events. One event won't get it done. Have 2 or 3 events, over 55. Call it a senior tour, Legends Tour, whatever you want to do. I've been preaching that for years. The fans would eat it up.
Money. It's all about the money, Mark.
It's all about the money, man. Unfortunately. That's how,
I'm sure it would have happened
things
if
roll.
Any of the organizations thought they could make a killing on it.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that.
MLF did some of that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know, man. We'll see. It's something, like I said, I've been wanting to see that for years. I think it would be
that
very,
entire
very cool.
Excalibur black back signature bubble pack series. From the fat-free shads to the pop, the Zell, the longer pop, like that whole series is kind of sought after, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just well-made baits.
Yeah, it's like anything, man. You have products that it has production characteristics to it.
Just the plastic compounds that they used in it, the way they...
Yeah. Bowling balls are the same way, dude.
Really?
They have serial numbers, and there are specific serial numbers. I mean, you can go on eBay and the same thing. It's like right now, because of the acquisition of Brunswick with Ebonite, you actually know what a hammer bowling ball is.
Mm-hmm.
There's a purple urethane hammer that is going to be made in a different factory now. Well, different characteristics. And the series on this specific purple urethane hammer is astronomical. They're like $200
for a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't seem like much at all.
200,
how long's a bowling ball last?
It could last 3 games with some guys, and then they throw it away.
Why?
They didn't drill it out the way that it
No,
needed
you
to
get
be
a good
drilled
bowling
out.
ball. One of your bowling balls that's down here in front of the studio. By the way, we had another beer explode during the Zell interview.
I don't
it's
know
now
what's going on with
Something
that.
weird is going on. It's like Stranger Things
YouTube's
here.
not working. The Skype thing was...
Hopper's going to pop out of the ground here in a second. But, I mean, you get a bowling ball that you like. It's years, right?
No.
No?
No.
What, they get lopsided?
No, they just get wore out.
How do they get wore out?
They get tracked out, man.
How do you know that they don't start doing what you want them to do?
No, you can see it. They get tracked out.
I don't know what that means.
Or you can resurface. You can, for the average person, I mean, it may last 2-3 years.
But for a professional bowler,
it may last 1 tournament. It may last 1 block. I mean, that's why they have the truck. You remember I took in and I showed you the truck anyway.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I thought once you had a bowling ball, it was your best friend for life.
But there are batches, just like baseball bats. The wooden bats, same way. You get a specific batch.
So serial number, this ball to this ball goes for way more.
This production series of lure is extremely sought after because of the characteristics of the plastic, the build.
Do you think that will continue now, or do you think that's kind of like okay, think about it, like hockey cards, baseball cards, football cards, to where there was its heyday of before people collected them, and you know what I mean, like that. But then, like, everyone realized, these things are valuable. So then, like, in the 90s and early 2000s, those cards hardly have any value right now.
Yeah.
So are there baits out there that will continue to be the Excaliburs, the Wiggleworts, all that are readily available right now that I'll be say, well, you'll be telling your gray, I remember when I could have bought that in 2020.
Maybe. Look at some of the chatterbaits right now. And is that just a trend because of what's taking place, or are people buying those specific chatterbaits to hang on to them?
Yeah, but I'm talking more hard baits. It's harder with the skirted baits, I think, because it's easier to replicate a skirted bait than a hard bait.
Yeah,
like you can remanufacture a chatterbait later on, and it's the same. I'm talking about.
I get it. Like a pose.
Yeah, the Wigglewort, the Pop Art,
certain
the
series
Vixen,
of a DT6
all that
or
stuff.
Like,
the old,
Yeah.
Do you think that there are baits right now that will be in 20 years?
Yes.
Does P70s, the Wigglewort originals?
Absolutely.
And we just have no idea because those moves haven't been made to where those baits are all of a sudden out of production.
Yeah. Absolutely, 100%, man. We'll see. So that's interesting. Those things are going for that much on eBay. I hadn't looked lately. So very, very interesting. All right. Once again, I want to recap real quick. Sorry about the YouTube thing. I'll have the YouTube replay out there soon. That has nothing to do with us. That is totally out of our control, but I will do what is necessary after the show to hopefully ensure that situation doesn't take place again. Matt mentioned at the beginning of the show, in case you missed it, you are going to make the announcement, you and Brad Hallman, here
shortly, either later this week or early next week, once we get the color of the BFE labeled down. But we're in the final stages.
Yeah.
Making the mold.
Yeah.
And then they just have to pour it.
Yep.
And we good. We can announce what the 9 colors are, and then the winner's color, and then he'll be on BTL. Savage comment by Mark at the Outdoor Scoreboard. Legends Tour, sponsored by Legends Boats.
Yeah.
From Leroy. Matt, He says, Leroy, you mean Legend Boat, singular.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I still got a buddy who's got a Legend.
Really?
Yeah, he likes it.
I think it's the old Hawk mold. I think is what it is. Yeah.
The only thing
I
that
think
he had
that's what it
a
is.
problem with that they did was like there's where the rod box meets like a piece of the fiberglass.
Yeah.
There's like a hard corner there and it's spider cracks on like all those. Other than that, he's
I can
happy
see
with
that.
it.
Interesting. All right. And then to wrap things up, tomorrow I'm going to discuss and give everybody hopefully the details. That is the plan right now on how we are going to give back to the BTL fans. And Matt, it's a prize package, total prize package
Robust.
of well over $2,000.
It's a very robust prize package.
From Strike King and Lose. So we're gonna be discussing that and kind of laying the groundwork on how we're gonna give back to the fans with the help of Strike King, Lose, and some highlights from Major League Fishing. So kind of an idea I came up with, and they were okay with it. They approved it, so we're gonna roll with it.
Speaking of Lose, I got a bunch of I got not a bunch. I have more Lose reels now because I went and did that stuff at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah.
And Chad uses Lose. Well, this was not the plan.
You
I
rated
even
his reels?
No, that's how I got paid.
Oh my God!
So I got $100 and 6 Lose reels.
Paid in reels.
I needed them. I was real poor.
All right. So
And they're awesome.
So this month, can I pay you in soft plastics? Is that okay?
No. No.
I'll give you 100 packs for every show you do.
No,
How
but
about
you got
that?
some stuff hanging up that I would accept as
know.
payment.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, it worked for him because it's not like his new reels that he got. It was the used reels from last year. You know what I mean? And you swap them out. But being an Elite Series pro, he had a bunch of them.
That's kind of funny.
So I got that. But yeah, I mean, you want me to go around and handpick some stuff around the studio? I'd be more than willing to get paid in baits.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd take the wiggle warts and the spooks.
I would double.
Yeah, some original chug bugs over there. None of that, man. That's not
You
happening.
can keep the thunder sticks. I still don't get that fascination.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. All right, tomorrow. Wow, what a great show. We're going to find out what's going on with a guy that has kind of disappeared. And we're going to get the scoop tomorrow. Byron Velvick, live via Skype tomorrow. And then Stephen Browning on Thursday to close out the week. All right, that's going to wrap it up, everybody. Thank you again so much for all the feedback. And we will continue this gig on Wednesday. That's it. We're out of here.